From a developer to an architect. In this course you will learn why a role of architect becomes so popular nowadays, what the core difference is between an architect and developer, what types of architects exist in IT and how they differ. What is it better to be, a good developer or a bad architect? In my opinion, everything which is good is better. Why, in this case, when developers reach a level of dexterity in their technique, people everywhere start talking about architecture and architects? Very good developers feel a sort of segregation in IT and even in the enterprise. I have not conducted special research on this topic and can speak only from my own experience and from my observations of events around me. Here are a few of my conclusions that explain when and why architects started to depart from developers and how to close the widening gap. Let me share these conclusions with you. When the developer-architect gap materializes. Believe it or not, developers invented this gap in the first place. It happened when developers wanted a structure that would reflect different experience and skills in among their own. When a role of architect was recognized as the highest qualifications of developers, the next push came from certification programs and commercial structures standing behind them. These structures were after money rather than quality of development engineering and wanted to ease the way for their students to get on the training ladder just by paying more money. The prerequisites for an architect's certification to be a good developer quickly vanished. Some might remember a time in the early 2000s when high school graduates nominated themselves as web architects after composing a couple of static web pages for friends or small local businesses. An architect became a new buzzword. Why is there so much attention to architects now? To answer this question, we need to find what is the fundamental difference between an architect and a developer. In IT, when working on a project, a good developer has to design components and objects or data structures before coding them. That is, those developers act as designers. Architects act as designers as well, but start from different objectives and concerns. While a developer thinks in tools or available methods and, for example, the capabilities of a programming language, an architect thinks in end results, reasons why they should be as they appear and how they relate to each other. That is, architects think, first of all, about what should be available and why. Developers still think in terms of how to construct or reach those end results. Management of an enterprise usually focuses on strategic goals, i.e., what to do and why, making certain choices for the company to move forward seems the most important value. The wider and more skillful the development resource becomes, the higher the importance of proper strategy is raised. I know many architects who say that they have to code to feel if their design is real and good. Well, this is a great intention, but there are only 24 hours in a day, and if an architect spends several hours on coding, these hours may be taken only from the time required either for learning what the consumers need or for an understanding of relationships between the discovered needs. In too many cases, there is not enough time for coding and architecting professionally, and architects have to build their knowledge based only on the learning of features, components, applications, or systems. This is not a recipe for skipping details. Some details are must-know, and architects compensate omission of other details by experience and practical knowledge from their past. I have noticed, fortunately, that nowadays many architect certification tests tend to become quite difficult for people with a little development experience who possess only book-based studies. Thus, architects focus on finding answers to primarily two major questions: what the thing is needed to build or buy, and why is this thing really needed? For example, why buy is better than build, or vice versa. When an enterprise can define what it needs to reach its strategic goal, it can look into how this may be realized and call for development expertise and skills, not the other way round. Enterprise operational conditions. Modern enterprises have to operate in significantly different conditions than 50 years ago, when the principles of enterprise management used today were established. Nowadays, managers cannot move forward without architectural analysis and design of what should be done in business and technology and what consequences a particular movement will have. This analysis requires special skills and knowledge that managers steadily lose because of the very intensive flow of the business changes necessitating control-only work. This is why architects have become so important for the enterprise's sustainability in the market. Those managers who have not understood that they have no other choice than to share their decision power with architects make a strategic mistake and deviate their companies from the optimal way into the future, i.e., they increase the risk of failure for their companies. An architecture ladder. It is more likely than not that when a talented senior developer is hired as an architect, she or he won't be asked to rule the destiny of the company. In the discipline of architecture, there is a structure of responsibilities and related requirements for skills. Usually, senior developers become technical architects when elevated over the code level and operate with components or applications within specific platforms. Such architects are fully aware of the specifics of implementation technologies and work on one or two particular applications as technical leads. When the scope extends to several applications or several architectural layers and starts treating non-functional requirements and business objectives across a few projects, solutions architects are needed. Sometimes solutions architects serve programs rather than projects, working with enterprise cross-cutting concerns, multiple external vendors, and bridging from the enterprise architecture level into actual implementation. Enterprise architects focus on transforming strategic business tasks into technical architecture and related policies, models, and even solutions. Enterprise architects also define the technology roadmap for the company, maintain a collection of tools, existing applications and systems in line with changes in the corporate strategy. They design intermediary architectural states and the target strategic state of technical architecture. Also, they assist managers in the proper organization of operational structure, marketability of products, and services for external company partners, suppliers, and clients. Aspects of climbing the architecture ladder. Two aspects are the most important in climbing the architecture ladder: time in the role and the size of the company. Individual architectural skills are a function of time and size. For example, if you are an enterprise architect in a small company, you probably have to have hands-on experience with the majority, if not all, architectural duties at the enterprise level. This is good, but if you suddenly appear in the EA organization of a large enterprise with hundreds of applications and systems and dozens of lines of businesses and ownership boundaries, your existing skills will help you, but only a bit. A different scale of the company brings different concerns and methods for addressing these concerns. So, before trying to get onto the next step of the architectural ladder, think about the changes of architectural methods and problems, as well as different consumers of the architectural outcome of that step. Also consider that the higher you climb this ladder, the less technical problems you ought to resolve. In many cases, being a good developer is much more respected than being an average architect. What you have learned. A role of architect is responsible for defining what business or technology has to do, build, buy, outsource in certain circumstances, what to build or buy, and why. This has a different focus than answering the question, how to build a new solution. In essence, the difference between architect and developer roles is in the objectives, concerns, and methods of solutions. This reflects onto the type and scope of problems under the responsibility. A large enterprise has 3 or 4 types of architectural roles: technology or platform architects, functional architects, e.g. for integration, for security, for data, for application, etc., cross-functional solutions architects, and enterprise-wide architects. The scope of responsibilities differs respectively. A development experience is needed to be a good architect in technology, which may be true for the business architects. Thank you. Please allow me to thank you for your time and attention. I hope you have found useful information in the course. If you have any related questions, please post them in the related forum on the same website, and I will do my best to respond as soon as I can. Also, you are very welcome to post your opinion and considerations about the course in the same forum. If you have a consulting proposal with regard to this or another course or the blog post, please use Contact Me instant messaging on the same website to contact me directly. Thank you again, and good luck.